Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Just Show Up and Do the Work. I'm Bill Russell from Crossfit Cleveland, and I'm here with some special guests today, Jenn and Ken Visocky O'Grady. Welcome, Jenn and Ken. You've been a little bit camera shy over the years when I've tried to get you to speak about your experiences with us. I think I hooked you in today because when I said podcast, you just thought it was an audio recording. And then when you said video. So again, thank you for coming on and welcome.
Thank you.
We have a membership made up of people with a wide range of backgrounds and professions. It's almost like a Rotary Club. And you certainly fit into that wide range. Could you mind just sharing with us a little bit about your background and what you do?
Sure. Well, we're both design professors. I'm at Cleveland State.
I'm at Kent State.
All right. And walking through the doors, we always say walking through the doors is the hardest part of CrossFit Cleveland. Once you get in, it's not as bad as people think. Could you give us a little idea of what you do, what got you to walk through our doors? What you've been with us for over 10 years. You're one of our longest lasting, other than Greg and Lisa. I think you're the longest lasting couple. You two, Lisa and Matt Large, and Greg and Lisa. So what got you in?
I'm going to let Jenn.
Yeah, I'll start it and then we'll roll into Ken's answer. I have a friend, Christine Mauersberger, who I know through Cleveland State's art department circles, and she was going and really liked it. And I ran into her and she kind of double dog dared me to go. And I didn't know how to say no to her because at the time she was my boss's wife. And so I came to a class, but I should probably preface this with, I had a 3-year-old at the time, and I kind of felt out of sorts as a person who had gone through a pregnancy and was sort of left with the body I had after that. And life didn't feel as familiar. And I think when you're in your mid-30s, your body kind of changes anyway. And so Christine's dare was a little frightening to me, but it hit for me at the right time in my own soul searching.
So Jenn had been taking, I think you started taking executive classes originally. Yeah. And I think that
3 times in a row.
She started her classes in maybe late fall or mid-fall. And she was coming home just like wiped out and talking about how empowered she felt by these classes, but also kind of just like how difficult the workouts were. And at the time I was really into cycling and I was doing a lot of riding, especially that season. I think I rode the most miles for me personally that season. I just felt like I was in really good shape, and I was looking for something to do in the off season to kind of keep me in shape for the next cycling season. And so Jenn talked me into starting some executive classes, I think in January of that year. And it was so challenging. Like I thought that I was in really great shape. And then coming in to work with you, I think you had me do a simple pyramid of 1 to 10 to 1 of push-ups, sit-ups, and squats to just kind of get a baseline understanding of my fitness level. And I just felt wrecked by that, but I was instantly hooked. And for me, from then on, there were things about cycling that I really loved. I think that there are things that are just the sense of like freedom and flying and exploration. But I think what's kept me coming back to CrossFit is that cycling it's a time commitment. Sometimes it felt like a part-time job. If I'm trying to, in the summer, I was trying to hit, 150 to 200 miles a week. It just took a long time. Short rides were 40 miles. You don't start actually doing work until you're in that second hour. And I just love how efficient CrossFit has been in helping me achieve my fitness goals.
Awesome.
I think Ken thought I was going to like invite him to a fancy jazzercise class or something. And so I was really happy that he suffered a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah. In my last episode, I talked about the 10 fitness domains that we have at Plaque on the Wall, that we try to have, we train you in all of them just to give you a well-rounded base of fitness. And that the importance of not just doing what you like, that so many people do just what they're good at and they avoid what they suck at, working on your weaknesses. So what would you say that you feel that you're better at now, could be physically and mentally, than before you started with us?
I think that I think one of the things I love about our team is that I always find the workouts challenging. Like I never feel like I never leave the gym thinking, oh, that was easy today. So there's always this there's always a built-in level of like I leave feeling challenged and I leave feeling you know like I was engaged the entire time. I think just personally, I'm a much fitter person now from being at the gym. That I find that fitness has worked its way into my life in ways that it wasn't there before, from, eating habits, to the types of foods I eat, my sleep schedule, and incorporating exercise and activity into my life daily. Even on the days that I don't go to the gym, I'm running, I'm walking, I'm paddleboarding, and I feel like that to me has been the biggest gift of CrossFit, is that, it used to be that exercising was a thing that I just would do a couple times a week, and now it's just a part of my life every day.
I agree with all that. I think for me, there was an intimidation factor on like weightlifting or, gosh, just a lot of workout culture. I wasn't an athlete as a kid. I'm like the girl who would hide with like a book up a tree to not have to be on a team sport. And so I didn't know if I could do any of the stuff. I didn't feel coordinated enough. And now I'm a little intimidated still every class that I come to, but on a micro scale. And I think overall, I feel really empowered by being able to, like, I picked up an Atlas stone, and this is something I only ever watched like the strongman contest on TV doing, and knowing that like with the right mechanics and coaching, I could pick something up like that, or like I flipped a tire, or I climbed the rope to the top of the gym that's behind you, right? I hid from the rope in gym class. And so I think that is a little dose of daily empowerment. And as I age, I really appreciate the dose of daily empowerment.
I still try to hide from the rope.
You mentioned that you always find that it's difficult, but you can do it. And that's one of the key elements of when we program workouts, is I need to make it difficult and challenging for you, but you can finish it. Just keep moving that needle for everybody. It's very easy for a coach or a trainer to make a workout that'll kick anybody's ass. It's not that hard. What the difficulty is making it so it's just hard enough so that halfway through you're like, I'm never going to finish this, and then somehow you do. And then there's some confidence that's gained by that. And what we always try to do is, we say we work in the gym to be better outside of the gym. We want carryover, so that when we go through our daily lives, things are easier. Do you have any examples of how your life is easier outside the gym because of what you experience inside?
I think that I don't know. So I think that one of the things that I take away from my time in the gym and from working with you and working with the rest of the coaching staff is that I feel like I'm better at teaching because I am a student when I'm in the gym, and I think that to be a great educator, that you need to know what it feels like to be a student, and you need to know what it feels like to be in a situation where you maybe don't understand, or there are times where I'll be working with you on the mechanics of a lift, and I may intellectually understand how to get my body to move or how the lift should work, but I just can't get my body to move that way. And so I think that the way that it crosses over into, how I interact with students, I think is really essential. And I think that's been an interesting byproduct of my experiences at the gym.
It's actually something, when we knew we were going to talk, it was one of the things that I was thinking, CrossFit makes me a better teacher. And it gives me, I think you need to be kind of bad at something, like to be a beginning learner at something, to have empathy for beginning learners. And so if we work with design students, there's no right answer to it, right? There's no like mathematical solution to design. And so there's a lot of push and pull and subjectivity, and everybody's a little clumsy at it at first. And so when we come to the gym, there's always something that I'm not the best at, even more than 10 years in. And I think being in that position, oftentimes when you're 20 years into a career path, you're not in that position regularly. And I think it's good to remember. It's good to be a student as well as to be a teacher.
That's a very interesting perspective. Thanks for sharing that. We could talk about that for a long time, but the next question, statement first, there's no doubt that the thought of joining a CrossFit gym, especially when people see the CrossFit Games on TV and the incredible feats of athleticism and craziness that those athletes do, people think they're going to come in and do that in our gym. So it is intimidating. It's scary. What would you say to a friend who thought that same way? Now, about us.
I'm jumping in on this one.
Yeah.
I got my mom to CrossFit in her mid to late 60s, and I'd been talking about it for years, and I think she thought I was absolutely bonkers, and she ended up finding it really empowering too. And she did a lot of individual coaching with Stacy to kind of get into a comfort zone that she would be able to, get off the floor if she was on the floor, to get into a different movement. But she was in classes with us for quite a while before the pandemic hit. And I think that, we've had good friends that are like work friends come to try it out. We've had our daughter at CrossFit. I think just exposing a lot of different people to this thing that you're geeked about and going with them is real helpful.
Yeah, and I think that I'm one of the things that I'm a big fan of I will say our gym or your gym.
It's our gym.
It's the coaching, and it's the knowledge of the coaching staff, and I think it's also the engagement that the staff have, that the coaching staff has with the athletes on the floor through their entire workout. I always feel safe. And if I feel like there is something that I am having difficulty with because of mobility or because of, a strength deficit, I always feel like the coaching staff is really great at working with us all individually to help bridge those gaps in safe and constructive ways. And so, and I also think that speaks to the professionalism of everybody, in the facility. I've seen other folks try CrossFit-like gyms in the past, and people get hurt, and I don't see that at our gym. And it's one of the things that I think I really resonate with, because I want to come to the gym so that I can get there tomorrow or the next day or the next week, that I want to keep coming back. And I think that pushing yourself to a point where you're going to get injured or not getting proper instruction on, something that can be, somewhat or perceived as dangerous, that doesn't really benefit the athlete. The goal is to come back and to get stronger and to get better, not to push yourself to a point where you're going to get injured or get hurt.
One of the things to kind of build on what Ken was saying around the idea of injury, which I think is one of those, you watch the CrossFit Games and it doesn't feel like a possible thing for a middle-aged person to jump into, right? We're middle-aged now, but we weren't when we started. I feel like as a middle-aged person, I have encountered injuries here and there that I wasn't expecting. And they come from stupid places. Like Ken hurt his back, like loading the dishwasher, like he just bent the wrong way. Or I sneezed walking up a stair and threw my back out. Like weird old people stuff that I never thought would happen to me. And I think because of CrossFit, I have a much better sense of my own physicality. And like, I know what muscle hurt feels like compared to what like a joint hurting would feel like. I feel like I've been trained well in that you've worked with me through a variety of happenstance. Like I dropped a thing on my foot and had a stress fracture. And there were days where I was lifting deadlifts in a boot because it was safe enough, like I wasn't putting too much pressure on and the right amount of weight was there. And I was still able to kind of keep moving and keep going. And so it's become this sort of holistic part of our week. Like we just show up and do the work, as you would say. Because no matter kind of what state our bodies are in, something at CrossFit is going to make us healthier or more able to kind of tackle the next instance of accident or injury. So thank you.
We pride ourselves, especially in our gym, not focusing on competitive athletes, but to be a welcoming place to regular everyday people who just want to come in and have a good exercise program, get nutrition coaching if that's what they're interested in. that they can't get anywhere else. What do you feel that we offer that you can't find at any other facility?
I think that, as a person who came to CrossFit is the only strength and conditioning program that I have ever stuck with. Jen and I've had memberships at other types of gyms, and we wouldn't really go, and we didn't really know what we were doing. And they always start with a session with some personal trainer who really never felt like they were paying attention to you.
I got stuck in a machine once.
True story. And so I think that what I've really liked about my CrossFit experience is the connectivity with the coaching staff and the community, and not having to really think about anything. Like I just have to show up, and I just have to do what's on the board, and I just have to follow that instruction. And it's been fantastic. It makes things so much easier. And I also found that, like, during the pandemic, for example, I had a really difficult time sticking with any kind of strength training on my own. Like I will not do that if I'm by myself, but if I'm in the room with my CrossFit colleagues and with, our community, I'll do that work, and I'll push myself a lot harder than I would if I was on my own. And I still like individual sports, like I still like running. I still, I miss cycling, and I like to do those things on my own, but there's something about the strength and conditioning work at the gym with everyone around you that I think is really, it really resonates with me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also Ken tried to make workouts for me, and he couldn't make me do stuff, but I'll do things that Bill asks me to do. So and we had a hard time, you did some great programming when we were all kind of forced home and we were working in videos together, and that just didn't work the same for me either. And I think there's something about leaving the space you're in and the email you have to answer, or the dog you have to get, or the kid that's asking a question, and just like having some you time at the gym, which if you would have told me that 15 years ago that I would ever consider working out me time, I would have laughed at you. But it is a little appointment that I make and keep for myself, and it's just become like a part of my routine, and I'm so much healthier, I think, mentally as well as physically, for giving myself that time.
Yeah. I think that, I'm going to cycle back to one of the questions you asked earlier. And, one of the ways that I think that Jen and I have changed the way that we think about fitness is that we really do guard that fitness time now, where before it was a thing that you could squeeze in around all of the other things because everything else was important. Where now I feel like fitness is a higher priority for both of us because it makes us better at all the other things that we do.
The other thing to build on Ken's community question, I think community and accountability, right? That idea of putting your number up on the board. I am not a chase the numbers gal. Like when I was pregnant, I wouldn't let them weigh me. They weighed me, but I didn't get to know what the number was. And so it's not about like competing in that way for me, but there's a certain level of honesty that if I'm going to put it out there and it's next to my name, I want it to be my best effort. And I've tried to bring some of that accountability in different ways into my own classroom. And I will say, from a community standpoint, there is something really vulnerable about putting yourself out there in a workout class all the time, from, like what you're wearing to a workout class to like the state of my hair and no makeup and sweaty, gross self. In working out with the same group of people who are from really different backgrounds has just been beautiful. And our real estate agent, Mary Goodwin, is from CrossFit, and our dog sitter, she's from CrossFit. Like, we have all these life connections now that are folks from CrossFit. I have people who text me on Christmas that I haven't worked out with in 5 years that I knew from CrossFit. Hey, Bob. So I just want to thank you for the community that you and Stacy have built. It's a hell of a gym.
For sure.
Good. You're very welcome. Great. So I'd like to thank you again for being such great supporters of the CrossFit Cleveland community over the last 10 or 11 years, especially during the pandemic and our closing. So many of our members were very supportive of us.
I was glad to know it would be there when we came back.
Yeah, we were not going to quit. I'd like to offer to mention that you got me a little choked up. I'm going to have to cut that part out. So again, thank you. And for everybody listening, thanks for tuning in. And please tune in to the next episode of Show Up and Do the Work. Have a great week.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
See you tomorrow.
That's right. See you tomorrow.
That was right. Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to take your first step, schedule a brief phone call to talk with a coach. We'll answer any questions you have and schedule a free light class for you to try. Or maybe a free initial consultation and body composition scan with a nutrition coach. Or we can simply schedule a brief meeting at the gym to chat and give you a tour. Visit our website at crossfitcleveland.com, or you can call 216-812-7841. Thanks, and have a great day.